Oh, just dropped my pen. That's a good start. Hi, just another quick one, this one. Just having a look at changing a ratio into a fraction. And so we might have some questions like this. So change the ratio 3 to 2 to fractions, okay? So to, fraction for each side. Right, let's just rewrite it a little bit bigger so we can see it. And I want to represent this. I think the best way to explain this is to actually show it in kind of blocks. So on the left-hand side, I've got 3. On the right, we've got 2. So let's turn that into blocks. 3 blocks on the left, 2 blocks on the right. Okay, now if I said to you, out of those blocks, what fraction are, whatever that is, orange, I suppose? What fraction are orange? Well, that would be 3 out of 5 blocks, right? And what fraction of blue? Well, that would be 2 out of 5 blocks. And there you go. You have changed a ratio into a fraction. Yep, and where did the 5 come from? The 5 came from adding together the total. So that's really it. The top number is the number from the ratio, and the bottom number is like the total of the ratio. Add them all together. And that's it, really. That's why it's so quick today. Yeah, how many parts are there in total is the main thing you need to ask yourself. So if I was doing this one, change the ratio 2 to 5 to fractions. Sometimes they say change, sometimes they say convert. And so here we go, just write it a bit bigger again, 2 to 5. Again, let's show those blocks. So I've got 2 blocks on the left and then 5 blocks on the right. And again, if we change the question, instead of saying just change that ratio to a fraction, if I said what fraction of these blocks here are orange, you would say, hopefully, 2 out of 7 blocks. Yep. And if I said what fraction of blue, you would hopefully say 5 out of 7 blocks. That's it. So you add together the ratio to find out how many parts. That's the bottom of your fraction. And the top of the fraction is just the number from the ratio. So again, it's always how many parts are there in total. That's the key bit. Now, I'm not going to do the blocks this time. I think we can, go straight to what we want. Firstly, we're going to need a fraction. 7 will be on top of one fraction. 3 will be on top of the other fraction. And what will be underneath? Well, it will be the combination of 7 and 3, which is a total of 10 parts. Out of the 10 parts, 7 of them were on the left of the ratio, and 3 of them were on the right. So it's 7/10, 3/10. Okay, hope that's pretty straightforward. I think there's 6 questions there. Yeah, we are. Remember to write down the ratio and then write down your fractions as well, please. Pause the video and unpause when you've rewritten them as fractions. Okay, so there are 7 parts in total, so it's 4/7 and 3/7. This one, there are 9 parts in total, so it's 2/9 and 7/9. There are 9 parts in total again, but this time it's now 1/9 and 8/9. Oh, this one's ninths as well, isn't it? 4 and 5, so 4/9, because there's 9 parts altogether, and 5/9, because there's 4 and 5 makes 9. Here there's 11 and 3, that makes 14 parts. So the first one is 11/14, and the second part is 3/14. And lastly, 9 and 2 is 11. So there are 11 parts. So it's 2 out of the 11 are on the left, and 9 out of the 11 are on the right. Okay? Easy peasy, right? Sometimes, though, they might not give us a ratio with whole numbers, because you remember sometimes we have this thing where we have the ratio either 1 to n, where so the left-hand side is 1, or maybe we have something which is n to 1. So the right-hand side is 1. In this case, the left-hand side is 1. And I need to change this into being, let's see if we've got, a bit of explanation. I need to change this, first of all, into being whole numbers. So if I times this side by 2, it becomes a whole number. It becomes 5. But of course, if you do that to one side of the ratio, you must do it to the other. So this is your step. You need to turn them into whole numbers first. But remember, what you do to one side, you must do to the other side of the ratio as well. And then as fractions, if we change pen colour here, there are 5 parts in total, 2 and 5. Add together these. We don't want to add 1 and 2.5 because that's 3.5. We don't want that decimal in our fraction. We'll just use the 2 and the 5. So it's 2 out of 7 of these parts are on the left, and 5 out of the 7 are on the right. There you go. So change it into whole numbers first by adjusting your fraction. Here we go. 0.5 to 1. So this time the 1 is on the right hand side. Again, actually I can times this by 2 to change this side to 1. But what I do to one side I must do to the other. So we'll think of this ratio as actually 1 to 2. So that's an equivalent ratio. And then I can write them as fractions. 1 plus 2 is 3. So there are 3 parts in total. And one of them is on the left. So 1/3 is on the left. And 2/3 are on the right. 1 and 2. About this one, have we got oh no, I haven't. Okay, so I've got 1 to 1.2. Again, I need to turn this into whole numbers. And so I suppose the key thing really is what do I need to multiply it by to get the 0.2 to become a whole number? Well, this might take a bit of trial and error. I mean, I suppose you could use something big like times it by 10 because that would move it to 12. But actually, 0.2, if I times that by 5, you discover that it becomes 6, right? So this side of my ratio is now 6. Now I'm going to times both sides by 5, because what you do to one side you must do to the other. So my ratio can be written as 5 to 6. So 5 and 6 is 11. So as fractions, this would be 5/11 and 6/11. I just add together my ratio now that it's whole numbers to get the denominator. Cool, okay, I think we've got a few left. Yeah, so we've only got 6 this time. So again, you need to figure out what to times it by to turn them into whole numbers. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. And then, change it to fractions. So pause the video, write the fraction, and then your answer as... write the ratio, then your answer as fractions with it, and unpause when you're done. We have unpaused. Right, I'm going to go through and change all of these first of all to whole numbers first. Now this first one, because it's 0.5, I can times it by 2 to get 2 to 7. I'll come back and do the fractions in a minute. 0.2, we discovered that if we times that by 5, we get a whole number, and 2.2 times 5 is 11. And obviously 1 times 5 is 5, so 11 to 5. Remember, these are equivalent ratios. The ratio hasn't changed, it's just now in whole numbers. I can't times this by 2. What I'm going to times this by is 5. I think we're going to have to do with this one because that will turn it into a whole number. So 1.4 times by 5 is 7. And 1 times by 5 is 5. 5 to 7. Again, I'll come back and do the ratio. The fractions in a minute. Now this one, 0.1, I'm going to have to times this by 10, which will become 41 to 10. That might seem a lot, but there's no other number smaller than that would turn 4.1 into a whole number. Again, I'll come back to the fractions in a moment. 0.8. Let's see. I think maybe if we times it by 5, that'll definitely be a whole number. Just thinking, yeah, I've got to times it by 5. So times it by 5 seems to work for lots of them. So the left-hand side is 5, and 1.8 times 5 is 9. Okay, now 1.3, that will need to be times by 10. It needs to turn into 13, and 1 times 10 is 10. Okay, so I've changed all of my ratios to fractions with whole numbers. I can then come back and do my fractions. 2 and 7 is 9, so it's 2/9 and 7/9. 11 and 5 is 16. So this is 11/16 and 5/16. This one, 5 and 7 makes 12. So it's 5/12 and 7/12. Well, 41 and 10 is 51, but that's fine. So that's 41 out of 51. And 10 over 51. 5 and 9 is 14. So it's 5/14 and 9/14. And this one, 13 and 10 is 23. So it's 13/23. 13 over 23. And 10 over 23. I think he invented a whole new word there. Right, fair enough. Just one other tiny bit to cover, which is sometimes they come as worded questions, like The number of red counters to yellow counters in a bag is in the ratio of 5 to 6. What fraction are yellow? You have to identify which side you're after. Now, red to yellow means, remember, fractions ratios always go in the order, let's get rid of that again, that they're given. So if it's red to yellow in the question, the ratio will also be red to yellow. And in this case, it's this side I want because it's the yellows, which is 6 out of 11, because 5 plus 6 is 11. The number of blue Smarties to yellow Smarties, so blue to yellow is 2 to 5. Again, same order in the question, blue to yellow, 2 to 5. What fraction of blue? That's the 2. So that's 2 out of 7, because 2 and 5 is 7. The number of girls to boys in a class is in the ratio of 8 to 5. What fraction of boys? So girls to boys, 8 to 5. The same order in the question as the ratio. And I want boys this time, so that's 5. So 5 out of 8 and 5 is 13. So 5/13 are boys, yeah? 6/11 were yellow on the first one, 2/7 were blue in the second one, 5/13 were boys in that last one. Last few questions before we finish then. There's 4 of these. They're all similar things. Just change them into fractions, please. Okay, I hope you finished and unpaused. If not, now is the time to pause and do it. Right, green to blue. Blue is the second one, and that's the one I want. What's fraction of blue? That's 9 out of 13. 4 and 9 makes 13. White to black is 2 to 7, and I want the number that are black, so which is the second part of it, which is 7. So that's 7/9, because 2 and 7 makes 9. Red to blue, 15 to 13. What fraction of red? That's the first ones, isn't it? The red. So 15 out of 15 and 13 is 28. 15/28. And men to women is in 2 to 2.5. Right, this is one of those ones where we need to change our ratio. If I double it, both sides, I get 4 to 5. I want men to women, so that's the second part, the right-hand side that's women. So that's 5 out of 9. 5/9. So we don't like to have decimals in fractions. Right, well done. Like I said, it was pretty quick, that one. Off you go, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.